Joining us now, DNC Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta. Welcome.
Ooh, well, you've heard it.
Good night, good evening. I don't know where we are, but we're good to see.
Good morning. Before we dive into everything, just your response. I know you heard our last conversation. I'm wondering what you think about this plea that folks have from Democrats to do a little more. Are there ads being cut as we speak about Social Security that we'll see from the Democratic National Committee tomorrow? Tell us what you know, Mr. Vice Chair.
Let me tell you what I watched, and I know you've been talking about it for a while now. The president got up there and showed nothing but his behind. His remarks were lousy, they were long, and they were full of lies. And he spent time that we will never get back, completely ignoring the American people, ignoring the things that they really care about. And so, to your point, are we going to be clipping that speech and getting that out to everybody and fact-checking him and continuing to tell the American people what's on the line for them? You can bet your bottom dollar we're going to do that, and we're going to be creative about how we do that. Just today, you saw after the speech, the Democrats had a spin room with influencers who were talking to members of Congress. I know Chair Martin was talking to many folks today on a variety of different platforms leading into this speech. And I'm talking to you this morning. And we're going to keep talking to the American people about this guy who is an abject failure. Donald Trump has failed at everything in his life, and he's treating this country like one of his little businesses. We don't need to see that happen here in America.
Malcolm, what did you think was the most damning part of that speech?
The fact that this guy spent more time attacking Americans than he did talking about the fact that people cannot afford their lives. I mean, I know that so much of politics, unfortunately, has become politician A says this, politician B says this, let's cover their argument. But there are people who are never going to get interviewed on MSNBC, never going to be interviewed by CNN, never going to be highlighted in a focus group, who can't afford their damn lives, who are going to wake up tomorrow morning and maybe they were able to afford the $10 eggs, who are maybe or maybe not going to be able to drop their kids off at daycare, who maybe or maybe not are going to be able to cover their health care. And the president didn't talk about it at all. You know, I'm a big Eagles fan, and our Super Bowl winning coach, Nick Sirianni, would say all the time, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is Donald Trump in just 6 weeks has made life more expensive, has made America sicker, has made us weaker. And he got up on that stage and just lied to the American people. The only American energy that was unleashed was the full gaslighting that we saw in front of our face.
Vice Chair, I'm loving the bite of your palate right now. This is great. I love the energy, and I think a lot of I won't say the Democratic base. I will say Americans, because I know a number of Republicans and a number of independent voters are looking for that bite. And that fight in this moment for them. So what you just articulated, I think, is a very powerful turning of the corner. Basil said something that I thought was very, very important, and that is if the Democrats show the energy going after Donald Trump, half the energy going after Donald Trump that they showed going after Joe Biden, that's what this fight is about. And so your leadership is a fresh turn in that regard. How do you see sustaining that over time as we get into the dog days of spring and summer? And, attention's wane and, I got to get in shape for the summer, right? Everybody's got a distraction. How do you keep that energy going? Because as Simone and I were talking a little bit before, the battleground for the 26th House and Senate, U.S. Senate, started tonight.
Let me say two things. The first is people should be pissed off. People should be pissed off that you have a guy who spends every single day, ripping away the things that we all deserve to have. Like he's firing the people who make sure you don't poison your kids when you sit them down for dinner. In the 6 weeks he's been in office, Planes are near missing every day, falling out of the damn sky. People's Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare that they paid into is at risk. And so I'm not going to tell anybody to not be upset about what's going on, to not be upset about a guy who's trying to sell our government for parts to whatever billionaire will say the nicest things about him because somebody didn't love him as a kid. So yeah, you should be upset about that. But I think a lot about this show, Silo, that I don't really watch, but that my husband watches and I'm forced to listen to if I want to sit on my damn couch. And one of the main characters in the show, Silo, said something on one of the episodes I was overhearing, where she said, we have to find a way to be angry with each other and not at each other. We should be crystal clear. Every single Democrat voted against these massive tax breaks for billionaires, voted against cutting Medicaid by almost $1 trillion, voted against cutting food stamps by almost $250 billion. Democrats stood firm, voted against it, every single one. And so I want to stop treating Donald Trump and Republicans as if they are some children who need to be stopped by Democrats. Well, why did Democrats let Trump do? Trump is a grown man who doesn't care about the American people. That's why he's doing the things that he's doing. He is a grown man and a weakling. That's why he's doing the things he's doing. And if these, State of the Unions or joint addresses are a sort of moment for us to stop and ask about the state of the country, Donald Trump has failed. The only person Donald Trump has performed well for is the guy who is leading his internship, Elon Musk and Vladimir Putin. Those are the only people who give Donald Trump a passing grade. Everybody else is getting the crap kicked out of them every single day. But we have to keep the main thing the main thing. Democrats are the party of working people and working families. We are the party that created the modern social safety net, and we're going to do everything we can, not waiting until 2026, but there are two special elections happening in Florida, and we're going to do everything we can to focus on those races and races that happen, special elections. There's a special election in Pennsylvania right now to make sure Joanna McClinton remains the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. There's a lot of work to do, and we have to do that work together, and we have to keep our focus on Donald Trump and the Republicans who know better, but are allowing him to get away with this stuff.
All right. I'm ready. All right.
He a grown man.
Malcolm Kenyatta, Vice Chair of the DNC. Thank you so much, man.